for change to everything and absolutely anything. But with that being said, the most obvious question could be how's this all to begin? And yet it is starting as such, so it's obviously being answered as such. So of course this is to be a free exploration into the idea of what is food for the spirit. I mean, what is soul food? When it's to acknowledge, I mean, within this physical state, we have come to exist with the egotistical perspective state of thought consciousness. But beyond this physical state, we have come to exist as the emotional spirit, whereby in this being explored, it's also then to acknowledge that the emotional spirit hasn't only come to exist as a state of pure emotion, but it has also come to exist as a state of known knowledge, recognizing that this known knowledge has come to create us as an emotional being, as an emotional existing spiritual being, right? Whereas I am an emotional human being, whereby it's the egotistical perspective state of thought consciousness that has come to describe us as characters, right, within this physical state. So, to explore what is spiritual food, I mean, this is easily to be directed towards a perfect description, right, or depiction within an animated feature whereby this food critic walks into a restaurant, sits down and places his order, and as he comes to taste his food, he is transported back into a memory state of a childhood experience that was so enlightening with known knowledge of emotional truth, peace, love, happiness, and freedom, whereby this was an emotional state of compassion that he came to explore and experience within himself through this state of this food. So, I mean, to explore this on a broader perspective, I mean, we have to reflect on how even Albert Hoffman even came to state as to why he was inspired for individuals to explore and experience the psychedelic experience within their own lives was because of childhood visionary experience that he came to explore and experience that were so emotionally uplifting and enlightening that he felt that it was a need for individuals to explore this within their own lives for the betterment of life. Now, this doesn't truly come to answer what is food for the spirit. I mean, we are within this physical state. It's to acknowledge that if I were to pollute my physical body, I'm also able to then pollute my mind and pollute my emotions. If I'm able to pollute my mind, I'm also able to pollute my physical body as with my emotions. If I'm able to pollute my emotions, I'm also then able to pollute my mind and my physical body as well. But it's acknowledging that again, if you were to reflect on any dirty room, right, this is a state of pollution, right? To cleanse this dirty room would be taking a state of loving notion towards this room, right? Whereby you are now going to love this room, whereby you are now going to clean this room. So it's obviously to acknowledge that to cleanse the body from physical pollution is to be through emotionally loving the body, whereby this is then easily able to be directed towards eating healthy foods. To cleanse the mind of pollution is to emotionally love the mind, whereby this is then to fill the mind or cleanse the mind with love, loving thoughts. To cleanse the emotions of pollution is again taking care and cleaning the emotions with loving emotions, right? But again, to cleanse the physical body, is this then also, to cleanse the mind and to cleanse the emotions, if the physical body is also able to have an impact on the mind and the emotions as well, it's then also to acknowledge that also then cleansing the body through natural good foods is then also able to be described as spiritual food, whereby again we are loving the body, especially when it's to acknowledge that, I mean, we have come to exist with 7 chakras, which are easily able to be associated with the 7 virtues of life, or to be associated with the 7 deadly sins. And that through cleansing the 7 deadly sins is obviously to be through the 7 virtues of life. But it's also been to acknowledge that it has also been described that through practicing the 7 notions of life, or the 7 virtues of life within this physical life, is also to be described as a physical state of meditation. But again, to cleanse the body, to eat healthy, obviously, I mean, through eating healthy, right, we are eating natural foods. And it's to acknowledge that natural foods have come to exist with a life source, which obviously is to be that of love. So again, through eating healthy, we are taking the notion of love and loving our body physically, right? But I mean, spiritual food is beyond this physical state. Spiritual food is what's able to change us within this physical state, right, to become better individuals. So spiritual food has to be beyond what we are physically eating within this physical state, right? Whereby, I mean, we have to reflect, but then back onto not just healthy foods, but also the psychoactive foods, especially again the magic mushroom, which again is able to induce a state of meditation, which is also an induced state of prayer, recognizing that, I mean, to explore this not only on just the mushrooms, but not only on just ayahuasca, but it's also then being able to explore this with the cannabis plants, especially when the cannabis plant has also reflecting on the physical state of the cannabis plant. It's to easily acknowledge that there are 7 points to the cannabis leaf, right? Recognizing that of course there are 5 leaves, then there's the 6th, which is the stem, and then of course there's the sentiment, which is this also able to be then directed towards the 7 virtues of life, right, or the 7 chakras. But to explore the cannabis leaf as a psychoactive, and then to acknowledge that the cannabis plant has come to exist with 2 different strains, right, whereby it's sativa and indica. But it's acknowledging that sativa has been described as a euphoria. Now, euphoria has been described as a sense of well-being or elevation. To explore the word of elevation, it has been described as high spirits, right? So, reflecting on the cannabis leaf again, right, the physical state of the cannabis leaf, it's easily to acknowledge that it is also easily to notice the Star of David, right, the symbol of Solomon, right, the seal of Solomon, right. Whereas in this, it's also then to acknowledge that there is also symbolism of as above, so below, right, whereby there are 2 triangles that have come to create this. Now, with cannabis sativa being explored as a psychoactive, we have to acknowledge that again, broadening as in this aspect, exploring THC as the state of a triangle, right? It's to acknowledge that T is to be associated with the word of transcend, right? H is to be associated with the word of heart, which is emotion, right? And C is to be associated with the word of change. Now, the triangle as above, right, as it is now, right, it's to acknowledge that T and C are to be at the bottom, and with the H is to be at the top, right, which is emotion, right? So it's transcending change emotionally, right? So it's acknowledging that through the THC, right, or through the letters of THC, we are already acknowledging that it is inspiring an individual to meditate through this chemical of a plant, or within the plant, right? Recognizing that again, the sativa is to be associated with the psychoactive, right? Now, again, obviously, sativa is high in THC and low in CBD. Indica is high in CBD and low in THC. But to explore the plant, the indica plant, as a meditative substance, right, as a psychoactive, it's then to acknowledge that, with CBD being described as a sedative, we have to reflect on this aspect as what are other natural sedatives, whereby this is easily to be directed towards the state of opium, which is then easily able to be linked towards that of heroin. Other synthetic sedatives is easily to be noticed as morphine or Valium. So it's acknowledging that through cannabis indica, or the CBD chemical, being associated to assisting an individual with their heroin addiction, so to speak, or sedative addiction, so to speak, it's to acknowledge that the sedative of the indica plant is only merely replacing the sedative from whatever bloody damn substance, other substance that it's coming from. Recognizing that if you were to explore CBD and the aspects of a triangle, it's again acknowledging that C is to be associated with change, D is to be associated with direction, and B is to be associated with birth, which is then easily to be noted as changing direction of death to be birthed as a healed being. Right? Now, with CBD being linked to assisting individuals with cancer, right, it's to acknowledge that cancer is also associated with the state of depression, a mental state which is easily to be noticed as the black state of abyss, right, the state of darkness, right. So even though CBD is able to relieve the pain from whatever illness, cancer, call it, right, it's still to acknowledge that with CBD being described as a sedative, it is then also being described as a numbing, having a numbing effect, whereby, exploring the word of numb, it is being described as deprived of feeling, whereby feeling is emotion and deprived is stripping of or disposes of, right? Recognizing that the effect of cannabis indica is not is obviously not a psychoactive, but it is an effect that is only to slot an individual into a state of nothingness, right? And then of course to be birthed again, right? Whereby through being started into a state of nothingness, and so obviously then of course the body is being drained of everything, right? Good, bad, whatever is in it, but of course it's giving rise. So of course it's easily to be noticed that CBD is easily able to assist an individual with cancer, for instance, but is it able to assist an individual with depression? I don't think so. The main fact is that we have to look at it again, that the emotional state of clarity is what is able to affect the individual emotionally, right? So this is then easily to be associated with the sativa, THC, which again is the psychoactive. So it's to acknowledge that, yes, right now there are damaging chemicals in this, but the mere fact is we have to acknowledge that through using cannabis, right, as assisting individuals with certain sicknesses and all of that, there's the sedative, which is the numbing, and there's the psychoactive, and we have to acknowledge that there is more of a beneficial upliftment towards an individual's life through being inspired to live life differently, beneficially, life-changingly, whereby it's to either just be born again through a state of numbness, or from a state of numbness, or from the state of darkness. So, I mean, obviously it has been described that yes, cannabis has been noticed as being smoked. However, as of late, individuals have been extracting CBD oils and all of this type of thing. And again, the CBD oil is a sedative oil, whereby this is not a psychoactive, whereby this is only going to put you into a state of numbness, and that again you will be birthed, but again there will be no change. I mean, you could, for instance, I could have cancer today, right? I could go through this therapy of having CBD. I could overcome cancer. But is it going to change the way I live? No, it's not going to change the way I live. Whereby the psychoactive is going to change the way I live. Whereby it's going to influence me to see a brighter side of life than what there once was. Right, recognizing that again, it is the emotional state of clarity that is able to change an individual within this physical state. So it should be noticed that cannabis, not only the seed but the leaf and the flower, is able to be eaten. Right, it is very, very. I mean, the mere fact is, cannabis is easily able to be described as the new supernatural vegetable, right? Recognizing not only within the cannabis seed, but also within the cannabis leaf and within the flower within itself. Cannabis is rich with folate, iron, calcium, vitamin K, vitamin C, THC, CBD, and which is also considered as antioxidants. But I mean, the main fact is this what spiritual food is? Is this what is to be described as food for the spirit? I mean, to enlighten us with the state of truth, to enlighten us with a state of peace, to enlighten us with a state of answer, a state of understanding. And the mere fact is that we can look at the mere fact of 12 million South Africans going to bed hungry every night, and 10 million tons of food goes to waste every year in South Africa. But the mere fact is that spiritual food is beyond what is healthy for our spiritual, for our physical state. Spiritual food is able to change us. Thus, it is psychoactive food that is able to emotionally connect us to known infinite amount of knowledge that is again only able to inspire the betterment of life within this life. Thus, I mean, to explore 12 million South Africans going to bed hungry every night, 10 millions of food goes to waste every year in South Africa. That is a problem. And if it is able to be described as a problem, it is then able to be described as a question, recognizing that there is an answer to this question, and it is spiritual food that is able to connect us to those answers for the betterment of life within this life. And with that being said, may the lovers keep on loving and the haters keep on hating. Namaste.